Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. When we think of the Lion King, we often picture that iconic scene. Rafiki holding up a tiny Simba on Pride Rock, the sun shining. The circle of life in perfect harmony. But what if I told you that beneath this golden veneer lies a much darker, more complex story? A story not just about Mufasa's legacy, but about the long, chilling shadow cast by his brother, Scar. We all remember Scar as the villain, the one who orchestrated Mufasa's death and drove Simba into exile. But his influence didn't die with him in that fiery battle at Pride Rock. Today, we re-dive in deep into the untold story of how Scar's legacy continued to haunt the Pride lands and shape the lion who would be king. This is the story of Mufasa's shadow. Let's rewind. Scar's reign was a disaster. He allied with the hyenas, overhunted the herds, and turned the lush Pride lands into a barren wasteland. His rule was defined by selfishness, greed, and a complete disregard for the circle of life. When Simba returned and defeated him, it felt like a total victory. The rains returned, the land healed, and Simba took his rightful place as king. But removing a tyrant is one thing, erasing his impact is another entirely. The physical scars on the land might have healed, but the psychological scars remained, especially within the lionesses who had survived his rule. And among them was a lioness named Zira, Scar's most devoted follower. This is where the Lion King 2, Simba's Pride comes in. A story many of you might know. It introduces us to the Outsiders, a group of lions loyal to Scar, led by the fanatical Zira. They were exiled by Simba for their unwavering loyalty to the fallen king. Zira didn't just admire Scar, she revered him. She saw him as the rightful king, betrayed and murdered. In her eyes, Simba was a usurper. Her entire existence became dedicated to one single purpose: avenging Scar's death and placing her own son, Kovu, on the throne. Kovu, who was hand-chosen by Scar to be his heir. Think about that. Scar's plan for succession didn't end with him. He had a contingency plan, a chosen one to carry on his dark legacy. This is the core of the problem for Simba. He's not just fighting the memory of his evil uncle, he's fighting a living, breathing ideology. Zira and the Outsiders represent a political faction, a rebellion in the making, fueled by years of resentment and a twisted sense of justice. They trained in the desolate outlands, honing their hatred for Simba and everything he stood for. Their philosophy was the complete opposite of Mufasa's, where Mufasa taught balance and respect. Scar's followers embraced power, vengeance, and entitlement. This ideological war is the true continuation of the conflict between Mufasa and Scar, played out by the next generation. Now, let's look at Simba. He's the hero, the rightful king, but he's far from a perfect ruler. The trauma of his past weighs heavily on him. He saw his father die, was manipulated into believing it was his fault, and spent his formative years in exile. When he returns, he's not just reclaiming a throne. He's confronting his deepest fears. And this trauma manifests as overprotectiveness, paranoia, and a deep-seated prejudice against anyone connected to Scar. He sees his own daughter, Kiara, talking to Kovu, an outsider, and his immediate reaction is fear and anger. He can't see Kovu as an individual. He only sees Scar's heir, a threat to his family and his kingdom. This is one of the most fascinating aspects of Simba's character arc. He fought so hard to escape his father's shadow, only to be trapped in his uncle's. His judgment is clouded by the past. He preaches, "We are one," a lesson he learned from his father. But his actions show division. He builds walls, both literal and metaphorical, between the Pride landers and the Outsiders. He perpetuates the cycle of hate that Scar started. In a way, Scar is still winning, because his hatred has infected Simba's heart. Mufasa ruled with wisdom and trust. Simba, scarred by his past, rules with fear and suspicion. He is so afraid of history repeating itself that he inadvertently helps create the very conflict he is trying to prevent. Then we have Kovu, the chosen one. He was born under Scar's shadow, raised on a diet of hatred and revenge by Zira. His entire life has been a training montage for one mission: infiltrate Simba's pride, get close to the king, and kill him. He is the living embodiment of Scar's will, but Kovu is not Scar. As he spends time with Kiara and in the Pride Lands, he starts to see a different way of life. He sees community, love, and the true meaning of the circle of life. He's torn between his conditioning and his conscience, between Zira's vengeful path and Kiara's message of unity. Kovu's internal struggle is the ultimate battleground for Scar's legacy. Will hate consume him, or can he break the cycle? And let's not forget Kiara. She is the true heir of Mufasa's spirit. While Simba is trapped by the past, Kiara looks to the future. She doesn't see an outsider or the son of an enemy. She sees Kovu. She embodies the open-hearted, trusting nature that her grandfather was known for. It is Kiara who ultimately teaches Simba the most important lesson: that a divided pride cannot stand. Her famous line, "Them. US, look at them, ... They are us. What differences do you see?" is the thematic heart of the story. She forces everyone, including her father, to confront the senselessness of a feud started by a long-dead tyrant. The final confrontation between the Pridelanders and the outsiders is not just a physical battle. It's the climax of this ideological war, and just when it seems like the cycle of violence will continue forever, Kiara and Kovu intervene. They stand between the two warring prides, pleading for peace. It's in this moment that Simba finally sees the light. He looks at his daughter and sees the wisdom of his father reflected back at him. He finally understands that true strength isn't about defeating your enemies, but about forgiving them and finding common ground. He finally breaks free from the shadow of Scar that has dictated his every move. Zira, however, cannot let go. Her identity is so intertwined with Scar's legacy of hate that she can't accept peace. In her final moments, she refuses Kiara's help, choosing to fall to her death rather than join the pride she despises. Her demise represents the ultimate self-destruction of hatred. It cannot create, it can only consume, and in the end, it consumes itself. With Zira gone, the last true remnant of Scar's direct influence is extinguished. So, what does this all mean? It means that the story of the Lion King is so much more than just good versus evil. It's a powerful story about generational trauma, about how the sins of the past can echo into the future. Simba's victory wasn't complete when he defeated Scar. His real victory came when he overcame the hatred and fear that Scar had planted in his own heart. He had to learn to rule not as a reaction to Scar, but as a true successor to Mufasa, embracing forgiveness, trust, and unity. The true end of Scar's legacy wasn't his death. It was the moment the outsiders were welcomed back into the Pride Lands, and the circle of life was made whole again, not by force, but by love.